kingdom of heaven, hey, look, when the kingdom is established, we're going to get women when they 12 years old. Right. All right? Say it again. As soon as they start in the kingdom of heaven, when their period starts, that's when they become a woman. Okay. All right? So we're going to deal with them when their period starts. Right. When their monthly starts. Have sex with them. Have babies, man. With 12-year-olds. Brother, there's in the kingdom, we're going to do that, man. We're going to get them young. In the kingdom of heaven, hey, look, when the kingdom is established, we're going to get women when they 12 years old. Right. All right? Say it again. As soon as they start in the kingdom of heaven, when their period starts, that's when they become a woman. Okay. All right? So we're going to deal with them when their period starts. Right. When their monthly starts. Have sex with them. Have babies, man. With 12-year-olds. Brother, there's in the kingdom, we're going to do that, man. We're going to get them young.
All right, Shalom. All credit goes to Yawakal. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Greatmillstone. Yawakal Barakathum to the hopefully elect. All right, and again, because only the elect are going to have the ears to hear these things, man, and to receive this understanding. All right, because this is only for the elect. All right, and this is why I'm doing this video. Lord's will, to edify the elect, you know, whoever they are, man, you know. Let me first say this. For the sake of YouTube, you know, the people behind the keyboard and whatnot, I'm not in any way, shape, form, or fashion promoting in any way pedophilia. I'm not promoting any grown man performing intercourse, any type of sexual intercourse with underage girls. All right, that's not what's being promoted here. Again, this is simply for edification's sake. You got this guy, Deacon Sicari, bearing false witness against the apostles of Greatmillstone, which this is something that's been going on for quite some time, you know. Dealing with this what do you call it, bearing false witness. All right, you know, because this is a touchy subject, you know. Whenever one of these guys gets rebuked, they get cut, they try to come back with stuff like this, you know, which again is bearing false witness, because the apostles and elders of Greatmillstone, they don't promote any grown man having sexual intercourse with any woman that is underage. All right. Typically when the apostles touch on this subject, they simply break it down how it was done in the ancient world and how it's going to be done in the kingdom. All right. And you see, man, because pretty much, man, we've been in this captivity way too goddamn long, man, you know. And you know, a lot of these guys, man, they're weak, effeminate, soft. All right, so this is why touching on these subjects, man, you know, niggas getting their emotions. All right. But again, dealing with this guy bearing false witness against the apostles, because this caption here, when you read it, and this, you know, this is on his Instagram page. When you read this caption, it says GM Mess, aka Greatmillstone, is mad at me for wearing a bulletproof vest like King David didn't have a shield. Which that's a different topic. You know, different topic for another time. But the point being that, again, because this guy, he got pretty much called out by some of the brothers from Greatmillstone for wearing a bulletproof vest. You know, which these guys, they're known for posting with firearms, which there's nothing wrong with possessing a firearm, but you know, when you're posted at camp, you know, and you know, making post the post that they make, you know, all posted up with assault rifles and stuff like that, shows their carnality. All right, which clearly, man, the scriptures, and I'm not going to get into it because, you know, that could lead way to something else, you know, again, a different topic. But it just shows the carnality with these guys, man, because like I said, you know, they post with assault rifles and stuff like that, man. And ironically, even the name sicari, which was like a is like an offset of the zealots. When you read during the time of the Roman Empire, you know, you had those different zealots that rose up against the pretty much the government, so to say, at that time, you know. And again, the scriptures clearly talk about how our warfare is not carnal, it's spiritual. All right, taking up guns and bearing up arms, that's not the way to go about things. All right, because Esau's blessing, for one, is the sword. So you're not going to beat Esau at his own game. It's just not going to work like that. And I'm not saying, again, dealing with sicari, that, you know, that's what you know, they're doing. But again, just touching on a brief history, because the sicari was an offset of you know, the zealots. You know, again, go back to during the time of the Roman Empire, you know, you have those different zealot groups. You know, sicari was one of those groups. They took up arms and, you know, fought against the government. You know, so ironically, you know, no coincidence, you know, they took on that name. But again, not to digress too much, reading on this caption, it says, instead of worrying about me, worry about your elders, saying it's okay to pop 12-year-olds. All right. And again, dealing with this bearing false witness, man, because again, the apostles never told, they never promote any man, any grown man, adult man, allowing or saying it's okay to pop any underage female. All right, like I said, typically when the apostles speak on this subject, they're telling you how it was done in the ancient world, and how it's going to be in the kingdom. Because again, you know, these guys, man, they err not knowing the scriptures. And again, like I said, you know, being that, you know, we've been in Babylon too goddamn long, man. These guys are emotional. All right, so you know, when they get cut, man, they you know, throw shots like this. You know, I'm gonna get this in the book of Jude, chapter 1 and verse 10. It says, Jude chapter 1 and verse 10, it says, but matter of fact, just to make a quick point, Jude chapter 1 and verse 4, it says, 1 and 4, it says, for there are certain men crept in unawares. Because one thing, man, you know, just because a guy is in the truth, you know, that doesn't make him your brother. All right, especially the times that we're in now. You got guys popping up all over the place, man. All right, with all type of weird doctrines, you know. And the scriptures go into how certain guys, man, they're only going to wax worse and worse. So, you know, dealing with this, these sicari guys, man, ever since they pretty much got put on blast with the Passover. All right. Ever since then, man, they just, you know, been taking these lows, man, you know, and instead of repenting, they instead of taking the low, you know, they pretty much, these guys, they're waxing worse and worse. Now you got this guy, Alazar, man, which I'm not even gonna, you know, get into all that, but, you know, basically, you know, saying certain stuff that makes you think twice, man, you know. And again, you know, dealing with all these sicari guys and all these other camps, man, you know, just waxing worse and worse. But again, the point being that these Israelites, you know, not all these Israelites that are, you know, in the truth, because again, reading verse 4 says, "For there are certain men crept in unawares." A lot of these guys, man, and even within Greatmillstone, you know, the apostles, they say it from time to time, man. Even guys in Greatmillstone, man, you know, Yahweh Shai, he knows who the real from the fake are, and what's getting ready to happen is you're getting ready to witness this separation, this sifting. All right, Yahweh Shai is getting ready to separate. All right, you know, because there's a lot of going back and forth, you know, and I be telling these young brothers, man, don't, for the most part, man, Yahweh Shai, he's going to have the last say so, you know, don't worry about what you see going on with all the back and forth, these different camps or whatnot. Yahweh Shai is going to get, you know, he's going to have the last say so, you know, he's going to do the ultimate sifting. All right. Reading on here, or verse 4 again, it says, "For there are certain men crept in unawares." Because I was going to make the point that a lot of guys are set up, a lot of guys are agents, so this is why, you know, just be cautious and circumspect who you say shalom or shalom to, you know, who you hang around, talk with, stuff like that, man, you know, who you keep in your circle, you know. It says, "Who were before of old ordained to this condemnation, ungodly men, turning the grace of our power into lasciviousness, and denying the only Lord power in our Lord Yahweh Shai HaMashiach." You know, and you know, again, you even got some Israelites, they don't even believe in Yahweh Shai, you know. You got this guy, going back to this guy Alazar, he made this statement, basically saying we don't have to worship Yahweh Shai, you know. He said that, you know. So reading on down, it says, "I will therefore put you in remembrance, though you once knew this, how that the Lord having saved the people out of the land of Egypt, afterward destroyed them that believed not." All right, I'm gonna go ahead and jump down to verse Salaki, because there was a point going back to verse 4 when it talks about the basically turning the grace of Yahweh Shemel Shai into lasciviousness. You got a lot of these guys like Sicari, you know, they pretty much, you know, because the scriptures talk about not making merchandise of the Lord's people, man. You know, when you're reading the accounts, that's why Yahweh Shai, man, when he saw the people making merchandise, you know, that's when he got violent in the temple, man. That's when he went into the temple and overthrew tables and stuff, man. You know, and that's what a lot of these guys do, man. They promote this music, clothing lines, and, you know, all this other stuff that has nothing to do with the truth, man. You know, it has nothing to do with salvation. You know, because that's not what this truth is about, man. You know, promoting your own clothing lines and stuff like that, which there's nothing wrong with doing these things, but when you try to mix it into this truth, you see, that's the thing with these guys, Sicari, man. They you know, they're doing music videos and stuff like that, when again, that has nothing to do with this truth, man. That has nothing to do pertaining unto salvation. But you see, a lot of these guys, man, they try to come into this truth and mix you know, worldly things into this truth, and it doesn't that's not how this works, man. It's like I said, there's nothing wrong with doing music and doing all that stuff, on your own time, man. You know, as you know, on the sideline. You know, not to put that in the forefront of the truth. That's not what this is about. You know. But let me jump down in Jude chapter 1 and verse 8. It says, likewise, also these filthy dreamers defile the flesh, despise dominion, and speak evil of dignities. Yet Michael the archangel, when contending with the devil, he disputed about the body of Moses, durst not bring against him a railing accusation, but said, the Lord rebuke thee. Verse 10, it says, but these speak evil of those things which they know not, but what they know naturally, as brute beasts, in those things they corrupt themselves. All right. And again, this is why you have these guys, man, you know, talking shit about the apostles, bearing false witness. All right. And this is why I said this is only the elect are going to receive these things. Only the elect are going to the spirit of Yahweh Shemel Shai is on the elect. Only the elect is going to receive these. You see, everyone else, this is why they make these false accusations against the apostles. Because again, the apostles never promote any grown man, you know, having sexual intercourse with any underage female, you know. I'm going to read verse 10 again. It says, but these speak evil of those things which they know not. All right. It says, but what they know naturally, as brute beasts, in those things they corrupt themselves. You know, so pretty much these guys, because the spirit of Yahweh Shemel Shah is not dealing with them, all right, they're not going to understand these things, you know, how things were done in the ancient world and how things are going to be done in the kingdom. Right? Verse 10 it says, or verse 11 it says, woe unto them. So death is coming to these people, to these guys, man. You know, and that's why I often talk about the sifting. Yeah, ultimately, Yahweh Shemel Shah, he's going to have the last say so. All right, at the end of all this, you know, because very soon, man, you're going to start seeing the difference. Like I said, a lot of these camps, a lot of these guys, man, they're waxing worse and worse. Sicari, ever since this Passover, they got put on blast at the Passover. You know, they've been waxing worse and worse. All right. Verse 11, it says, woe unto them. So again, because the scriptures say judgment must begin at the house of Yahweh Shemel Shai. You see, Yahweh Shemel Shai is going to start touching these other Israelites, these leaders, all right, and even the followers, man. You know, even the followers, man. Because if you're following after these different guys, man, like the scriptures say, the blind leading the blind, they all gonna fall into a ditch, you know. And this is where the separation comes in, because if you're of the elect, Yahweh Shemel Shai, he's gonna sift you out before he, you know, brings these other camps to nothing. All right, but very soon, man, you're gonna start seeing more and more who the Lord is dealing with and who he's not dealing with. All right, more and more you're gonna see who was right all along. All right, because these other Israelites, you know, as of right now, you know, they may be teaching the truth, they may be in the truth, or whatever the case may be, but eventually, again, if the Yahweh Shemel Shai is not dealing with them, they're going to be they're ultimately they're 2/3 ultimately. All right, so this is why, hey, man, you know, when it comes down to it, you know, Jake, man, hey, the Lord's going to start jacking Jake up, man, in the truth. Reading on, it says, verse 11, it says, woe unto them, for they have gone in the way of Cain and ran greedily after the heir of Balaam for reward, and perished in the gainsaying of Korah. All right, but the verse was in point. The point was in verse 10. All right, where it said, but they speak evil of those things which they know not. All right, because again, the understanding was given to these guys to understand. You know, when in reality, when you go I'll put it like this: the science. When you look at the science of it, why? Because like the elder apostle Tahar said in this video, in the kingdom, all right, in the kingdom, we're going back to, you know, getting women when they're young, all right, because they did that in the ancient world. And when you look like I said, when you look at the science of it, it makes sense why young women were married off young, fairly young. Why marriages were ordained at young ages. It makes sense, which I could be here all day speaking about the science of it, but it makes sense, and again, when we go back into the kingdom, we're going back to that, all right, that old way of doing things. I'm going to get this in the book of Acts. The book of Acts chapter 1 and verse. The book of Acts chapter 1 and verse 6, it says, "And when they therefore were come together, they asked of him, saying, Lord, will that at this time restore again the kingdom to Israel?" So you see, again, back in the ancient world, women were married off at very young ages. And it's going to go back to that way. Because you see, in this society, I believe the legal age, or not the technically in Esau's kingdom, a girl becomes a woman when she's 18, right? Which again, not promoting any grown man, not promoting any grown man having any type of sexual intercourse with any girl who's under the age of 18, all right? But in Esau's kingdom, a girl becomes an adult at the age of 18, all right? And again, in the ancient world, women were married off at much, much younger ages. And it makes sense because, matter of fact, let me go to it. Because when does a girl become a young woman? And this is what the apostle Elder Tahar, he was touching on. When you go to 1 Corinthians chapter 7 and verse, I'm gonna start at verse 1 Corinthians 7 and verse 35. It says, "And this I speak for your own profit, not that I may cast a snare upon you, but for that which is comely, and that ye may attend upon the Lord without distraction." Verse 36, it says, "But if any man think that he behaveth himself uncommonly toward his virgin, if she pass the flower of her age, and need so require, let him do what he will, he sinneth not. Let them marry." So you see, dealing with a man, and if he has a virgin, all right, it says if she passed the flower of her age. And when you go into that in the blue letter, the word for flower, it goes into menstruation. You can look it up. I'm not gonna. I told the young brothers, man, I'm not gonna give everything to you on a platter, man. You gotta look things up for yourself. When you go into the blue letter, the word flower basically goes into menstruation. All right, when she's on her period, when she starts her period, all right, her cycle. That's when a girl becomes a young woman, and that's in the eyes of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. All right, which typically in the ancient world took place around the age of 12, typically. All right, and again, this is what the apostle Elder Tahar, he's touching on this, and the kingdom is going back to how things. That's why I read Acts 1 and 6. All right, the kingdom, when our kingdom gets established on this earth, this is how it's going to be. It's going back to this. All right, men are going to be marrying women at young ages. You know, as long as she's past the flower of her age. All right, there's nothing wrong with, you know, dealing with her. All right, and you see, this is where, you know, these niggas, they get emotional because they've been in America too goddamn long. All right, they don't understand these things, man. You know, they don't understand. They don't understand these things, man. It's no, you know, it makes sense. Again, when you look at the science, Esau's science. All right, even Esau's on science. When you really get into it, it makes all the sense. You know, because, you know, with men and women, when they become, you know, adolescents, when they become of that age, man, they start getting, especially the women, you know, they typically get, what do you call it, promiscuous around those ages, right? That's when their body starts forming and shaping, all right, because their body's prepping them to be a wife and to have children. You know, when they start their menstruation, when they start their cycle, that is their body letting them know that it's time to be with a man and start reproducing. All right, you know, which typically, again, when a young girl, and I'm not talking about it in this day and age, because in today's day and age, everything is all messed up. You have girls having periods at, you know, they can start as young as 8, 9, 10, 11, you know, and some girls, they don't have their first periods until they're 16, 17, 18. So everything is all different. You know, everything is all jacked up in the society. So again, this is why back then in the ancient world, all right, you know, typically this is how these things were done. I'm gonna go to the book of Leviticus, because again, when you go into that flower going into menstruation, all right, again, look it up in the blue letter. Go to the book of Leviticus chapter 15, and I'm gonna start at verse Leviticus 15, and I'm going to start at verse 18. Leviticus 15 and 18, it says, "The woman also with whom man shall lie with seed of copulation, they shall both bathe themselves in water and be unclean until the even. And if a woman have an issue, and her issue in her flesh be blood, she shall be put apart 7 days. And whoso toucheth her shall be unclean until the evening." So again, this issue, what is this issue going into? Dealing with the blood, all right, is going into a period. When a woman, she starts her period, technically, she's supposed to be set apart 7 days. All right, she's supposed to be put apart 7 days. All right. And if, you know, because you see, back in the ancient world, again, just show you how things were different. Back in the ancient world, man, you know, they women, you know, had different, you know, they had different little, how do you call it, like, basically like their own little mini apartments for cases like this. Versus today, you know, typically a man and a woman, they live together, you know, and you know, if you try to keep these laws, it'd be a little bit more difficult, you know, but being that the man and the woman are living together, or, you know, a brother might live with his mother or sister or whatever the case may be, and she gets her period, all right, you know, you come in contact with her, because everything that she touches becomes unclean, all right. So, you know, you come into contact with her or touch anything that she touched, you're unclean until the evening. But you see, again, back in the ancient world, they had their own little mini apartments or whatever, you know, for cases like this. Because again, when she has her period, she's supposed to be put out 7 days. All right. Verse 19. Verse 19. It says, "And if a woman have an issue and if a woman have an issue, and her issue in her flesh be blood, she shall be put apart 7 days, and whosoever toucheth her shall be unclean until the evening. And everything that she lieth upon in her separation shall be unclean. Everything also that she sitteth upon shall be unclean. And whosoever shall toucheth her bed shall wash his clothes and bathe themselves in water, and be unclean until the evening. verse 24. This is the point. Leviticus 15:24. It says, and if any man lie with her at all, and her flowers be upon him, he shall be unclean 7 days, and all the bed whereon he lieth shall be unclean. So again, dealing with the flowers, all right, going into this issue in the flesh, this blood, this menstruation of her period. Because let's say if a man is having sexual intercourse with a woman, you know, and this happens sometimes, you know, if a man is having sexual intercourse with his woman, and it just so happens to cause her period to come on, all right, he's supposed to be unclean 7 days. You know, he's supposed to, you know, he's unclean for 7 days. You know, if a man's having sex with a woman, and you know, just so happens her period, you know, comes down, all right, she starts bleeding, all right, and it gets on him, all right, now they're both unclean 7 days. But the point being, dealing with the flowers, all right, let me read that again. Verse 24, it says, and if any man lie with her at all, and her flowers be upon him, and he shall be unclean 7 days, and all the bed whereon he lieth shall be unclean. So you see again, all right, this is going into the menstruation cycle. All right, just going back to 1 Corinthians chapter 7, and 1 Corinthians 7 and 36 again, it says, but if any man think that he behaveth himself uncomely toward his virgin, all right, so if a man has a virgin, if he has a young woman, it says, if she pass the flower of her age and need so require, let him do what he will. He sinneth not, let them marry. So again, man, if a man has a young virgin, a young woman, all right, as long as that young girl, that young woman is past the flower of her age, all right, it just said here, man, you know, he sinneth not, you know, let them marry, man. You know, that man can do as he pleases. You know, it's not a sin in the eyes of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. You know, and because I'm pretty sure, you know, you had weak, emotional ass niggas during that time. All right, they thought this was probably, you know, not right and stuff like that, talking shit, right? Just like they do to these weak, emotional niggas they do today. All right. You know, but hey, you know, the Lord said, hey, it's not a sin, you know, let them marry. As long as she's past the flower of her age, which again, typically took place, and this is something that you could look up on Google, all right? When does, typically does a young girl start her period, which when she starts her period, now she's, you know, she's basically a young woman now. But typically, I mean, this is something you can look up on Google, you know, typically between the ages of 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, in some cases, all right, a young girl, she'll have her period, which, again, in that time, she becomes a young woman, all right? And again, that's the body's way of letting her know that she's able to reproduce and be with a man, all right? You know, like I said, there's no coincidence around that time, you know, a lot of us grew up in, you know, went to middle school. You know, we heard the stories about the girl that got, you know, them girls, man, the young girls in middle school, man, you know, doing all type of stuff, because that's when typically a woman, she becomes a young woman. That's typically around the time she becomes promiscuous and stuff like that. You know, it's no coincidence. It's the same thing for young men. You know, typically around the ages of puberty. All right, you know. That's when, hey, you know, them hormones start kicking in, you know, and stuff like that. You know, Yahushua, when he was in the temple teaching doctors, you know, people that were so-called skilled in you know, the Bible and whatnot. You know, Yahushua was in the temple teaching them at the age of 12. Why? Because he was a young man. He wasn't a boy anymore. You know, and again, I'm gonna keep saying it. You know. Yeah, the Apostle Tahar, when they talk about these things, the apostles talk about these things, they're just simply telling you how it was done in the ancient world and how it's going to be done in the kingdom. All right, you know, it's not to be done in this day and age, man. You know, because hey, back in the ancient world, fathers were marrying off their daughters. You know, but in this kingdom, in this society, if my daughter, I'm not marrying my daughter off to another man. All right, you know, and she's young. I'm not doing that in today's day and age. You know, because you know, this that's not what's promoted. That's not what the apostles and elders they don't promote that stuff, man. You know, but you got these guys bearing this false witness because again they're emotional. All right, when they get put on blast and they get cut, instead of humbling themselves, repenting, all right, you know, they you know, make statements like this. They bear false witness like this, man. And this is why, like I said, Yahweh Shemel Shah, man, he's gonna start fucking these Israelites up, man. All right, I'm gonna get this in Exodus 20 and Exodus 20 and 16. It says, "Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor." All right, and again, you know, clearly, this guy again, he said, instead of worrying about me, worry about your elders saying it's okay to pop 12-year-olds. See, the apostles and the elders and old brother in Greatmillstone says it's okay to pop a 12-year-old, man. So that's bearing false witness. I'm gonna get this in Deuteronomy 19. Deuteronomy 19, 18. It says, in Deuteronomy 19 and 18 says, "And the judges shall make diligent inquisition, and behold, if the witness be a false witness, and hath testified falsely against his brother, then shall ye do unto him as he had thought to have done unto his brother. So shalt thou put the evil away from among you." So basically, like they say in the world, the saying in the world, karma is a bitch, right? You know, the evil thought that you thought towards another brother, that thought, because you're bearing false witness, is going to be put on you, man. All right, you know, so clearly, you know, these guys, you know, bearing false witness, man, you know, because clearly they're waxing worse and worse. All right, you know, but yeah, man, because I mean, this can go on about this, but again, for the last time, the apostles and elders, they never promote a grown man sleeping with a 12 or any girl underage at that. All right, they don't promote that. All right, they just simply tell you how it was done back then in the ancient world and how it's going to be in the kingdom. All right, you know, hopefully through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shemel Shai, you know, this has been edifying to the elect, because again, only the elect are going to have the ears to receive these things, man. Only the elect is going to get it. Only the elect is going to understand it, and this is who this is for. All right, so hopefully this was edifying. Once again, giving all credit to Yahweh Shemel Shai, double honors to the apostles and elders of Greatmillstone, Yahweh Shemel Shai, Barakatham to the hopeful elect. Until next time, Lord's will, I say shalom.